Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to This Explainer, where today we're exploring a profound and honestly kind of challenging ethical dilemma. We naturally assume that sharing knowledge is always a good thing, right? We live in an age that totally praises the open distribution of information. But what happens when you share deep wisdom with someone who might actually misuse it? What if the act of teaching itself becomes destructive? Well, we are going to look at some fascinating ancient Talmudic text today that argues there is a strict, severe ethical boundary on education. It proposes that yes, there is a time to teach, but there's also an absolutely crucial time to intentionally withhold your wisdom. To really unpack this, we'll be looking at 6 key areas. 1. The insincere student. 2. Metaphors of wasted wisdom. 3. Severe theological consequences. 4. Stones to an idol. 5. Rabbinic moral decrees. And finally, 6. Some really practical dinner table applications. So, starting with part 1, the insincere student. Let's define the heavy heart. Our whole core premise here is grounded in this specific biblical verse from Proverbs chapter 25, verse 20. It reads, "As one that takes off a garment in cold weather, and as vinegar upon nitre, so is he that sings songs to a heavy heart." Now, within the context of our Talmudic text, singing songs here is used allegorically. It doesn't mean literal singing. It actually means teaching deep spiritual truths, specifically teaching Torah. So this verse is explicitly warning us about the act of teaching Torah to someone who has a heavy heart. And that brilliantly illustrates our first major concept. An unworthy student is a person with a heavy heart who receives instruction without any sincere intention to adhere to the wisdom being taught. Now, I really want to emphasize this because it's so important. The issue here is not about a lack of intelligence or an inability to grasp complex concepts, not at all. It is entirely about a lack of moral sincerity. The text is describing a student who shows up to learn, sure, but has absolutely zero intention of applying the ethical and spiritual weight of that knowledge to their own life. Moving to section 2, metaphors of wasted wisdom, we're looking at the destructive nature of misplaced teaching. So think about this. What actually happens when you try to force wisdom onto someone who completely lacks that sincerity? I absolutely love how brilliantly the ancient scholars use these highly physical metaphors to illustrate deep psychological and spiritual realities. Let's look back at our proverb. Think about the act of removing a garment in freezing weather. Taking off a warm winter coat in the freezing cold doesn't just fail to keep you warm, right? It causes physical exposure. It actively harms you, and it serves literally no useful purpose. The direct comparison here is teaching an insincere, unworthy student. Just like ditching your coat in a blizzard, offering deep spiritual wisdom, teaching Torah, to someone who will just mock it or ignore it results in spiritual exposure. It's a completely futile act of instruction that leaves the teacher vulnerable and the knowledge totally wasted. And let's see how this builds with the second half of that proverb. Pouring vinegar upon nitre. Nitre, back in the ancient world, was a highly useful cleaning agent. But if you pour vinegar, which is an acid, onto it, it triggers a chemical reaction that completely neutralizes and ruins the substance. It bubbles up and just becomes totally useless. Now, consider forcing wisdom onto a heavy heart. Sharing wisdom carelessly with an unworthy student doesn't just waste your breath. The text argues that it actually corrupts the profound wisdom itself. You are taking a precious, useful truth and tossing it into a toxic environment where it is degraded and rendered completely unusable. All right, section 3, severe theological consequences. Let's talk about the gravity of misused knowledge. This brings us to a really intense shift in the text. We're talking about the incredible gravity of misused knowledge. The ancient rabbis didn't just see this as, a bad teaching practice. They attached immense theological severity to the act of misplaced education. To emphasize this, the text cites the book of Job, chapter 20, verse 26, which reads, "All darkness is laid up for his treasures. A fire not blown by man shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that remains in his tent." Now, how in the world does this relate to teaching? Well, the Talmud interprets the specific Hebrew phrase translated here as "him that remains in his tent" as a direct reference to a dedicated scholar, someone who literally sits in the tent of study. And the text draws a pretty terrifying conclusion from that verse. The theological consequences for the teacher are massive. If a scholar decides to go ahead and teach Torah to an unworthy student, the text declares that the teacher faces some serious backlash. First, they fall into a place of severe retribution. Second, they face a fire of divine judgment. And third, they bring profound ruin upon their own spiritual standing. So the absolute crucial point here is this. the spiritual danger falls incredibly heavily on the teacher who irresponsibly shares the wisdom, not just on the student who misuses it. The teacher is literally held accountable for handing a loaded weapon to someone who doesn't respect it. Which brings us to section 4, stones to an idol, the ultimate act of misdirected reverence. The text actually frames the act of teaching as a form of worship and misplaced teaching as a severe spiritual violation. The scholars cite another verse to prove this time Proverbs 26:8. As a small stone in a heap of stones, so is he that gives honor to a fool. Historically, this heap of stones refers directly to ancient practices of idolatry worship, where devotees would throw stones onto a pile as a dark pagan ritual of reverence. Let's consider the direct analogy here because it's powerful. Throwing a stone in idol worship is an empty, hollow ritual that channels your reverence toward a destructive, completely meaningless end, right? It's the ultimate misdirection of spiritual energy. Conversely, giving honor to a fool is defined here as empowering an unworthy student with sacred wisdom. The Talmud is literally arguing that imparting sacred, profound truths, teaching Torah, to an insincere person is philosophically and spiritually equivalent to idol worship. You are taking something holy and sacrificing it on the altar of someone's ego or malicious intent. No way around it, that is a heavy thought. Next up, Section 5, Rabbinic Moral Decrees. Let's make sure we're understanding the true nature of this text. Notice how incredibly meticulously the ancient scholars constructed their arguments here. They built a unified ethical argument from 3 completely distinct biblical sources. They took Proverbs 25:20 with its vivid metaphors of the garment and the vinegar upon niter to teach us about wasted effort and the destruction of pure wisdom. Then they brought in Job 20:26 with a metaphor of the consuming fire to warn of severe theological retribution for the careless teacher. And finally, they used Proverbs 26:8, the stone to an idol, to show that misplaced honor is akin to destructive idol worship. It is just a masterful, multi-layered philosophical argument. But it's absolutely vital to understand what kind of rules we're talking about here. These teachings are rabbinic moral decrees, known as agadah. They are meant to guide profound ethical behavior, shape your character, and frame your worldview. They are not formal, punishable courtroom legislation, which is known as halakha. You wouldn't be taken to a physical court for trying to explain a complex text to someone who wasn't listening. But morally, ethically, in the eyes of the divine, the text heavily suggests you are making a grave error by doing so. Finally, Section 6, Dinner Table Applications. Let's look at practical ethics for sharing wisdom. The amazing thing is, you can use this exact ancient framework at your own dinner table, in your workplace, or with your friends today. Step 1. Assess sincerity before offering deep personal or professional advice. Is the person just venting, or do they actually want to learn and grow? Are they an unworthy student in this specific moment? Step 2. Recognize when sharing wisdom will only trigger a vinegar upon niter reaction. If you know for a fact that offering your hard-earned wisdom is just going to result in an argument, defensiveness, or mockery, you are ruining the niter. You are degrading the value of your own advice. And step 3. Tactfully withhold guidance. Sometimes the absolute most ethical thing you can do is just stay silent. By withholding your wisdom, you protect the integrity of your advice, and honestly, you prevent the listener from the moral failure of rejecting the truth. It completely reframes how we think about communication and teaching, doesn't it? It's not just about what you know, it's about respecting what you know enough to actually protect it. So I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on. Next time you're tempted to share profound advice or deep wisdom with someone, just ask yourself, are you offering a warm coat to someone who will wear it, or are you just pouring vinegar on niter? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you navigate exactly when to teach and exactly when to withhold.